Hey, you guys, welcome to the Dr. G Show. Um, Today we're on episode 212, and as you guys join us, feel free to kind of pipe in. I know this is a Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Usually it's Tuesdays at 7, but we're changing it just a little bit because of schedule. Um, so as we've been talking about, this series that we have is a four-part series about functional medicine explained. So, kind of what is functional medicine, the different parts that we go through, kind of why is it meaningful, and why is it so successful at helping people reverse acute and chronic conditions
Hang on.
that they haven't been able to reverse forever. Um, so, I love my job because we really get this chance to help people that have lost all their hope. For those of you who don't know about functional medicine, last show we talked about that, and then we also talked about a little bit about clinical nutrition. If you guys have questions on that, we've been doing lots of videos, and we got 65,000 views, which was I think.
That's a bunch.
Yeah, so Facebook said I'm in the top 2% get that many likes, so that's pretty good.
Wow.
But Becca Wharton's the one that made that happen. So
good job, Becca.
Becca and Suzanne are the gurus for all this kind of stuff. I'm just the.
You're the doc.
I'm just the doc. So, yeah. So today, we talked about that last time. If you guys have questions on clinical nutrition, let me know. As we go through this, clinical nutrition. I mean, we live in the sickest, fattest, dumbest country. And so the food that we eat is so toxic, and like even just something like gum, the colors from gum is petroleum, the flavor is petroleum, the smell is petroleum, the preservatives, paint thinner, the three sugars are formaldehyde. Like, how can we eat that and ever expect to get healthy or well? So people just eat crap and then take a bunch of supplements. What we do differently for like functional lifestyle medicine is stop eating the crap, stop causing these problems. And over the weekend, my girlfriend's, Corlin, kids were there, and so the last night we had pizza, and I stole a couple slices, and I paid a hell of a price. But if I didn't know what I knew, I would just be like, well, I have Crohn's, I have IBS, I just have
something's wrong. I need to fix it.
And I'll just keep eating pizza, and then eventually get medication, get diagnosed, and be the normal American that's where 3 out of every 4 chronically manage a chronic condition, or knowing what I know and teaching what I teach people, stop causing that, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then you can turn on and off those things. So I'm very excited and love what I do, and also Suzanne's here.
Thank you. Hi.
It's Suzanne, not Susie, right?
Well, you can call me whatever you want as long as it starts with an S.
You're supposed to say you can call me whatever you want as long as you don't call me late for dinner.
That's right.
That's the old.
That's a good one.
So Suzanne's here to keep us on task.
Mm-hmm.
She's our guru. She's been on lots of shows before. So, and I want to say hi to Lauren.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Lauren, and Joanne.
Yeah.
Stephanie, welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up here on this cool little talk.
Yeah. So today we want to talk about something different. So this is episode 212, the second part of our series. And we want to talk kind of like on epigenetics and phenotyping and genotyping and kind of what that all means and what part of our genetics through functional medicine are we able to actually manipulate and improve, and you'll be very surprised what we can do and what we have done. And then a little bit about like our transformational kind of coaching that we do. So, why we do this and why it's so important that you have this constant connection to your doctor, to your health coach, to where, they're holding your hand through this process and they're able to kind of just, lift you up when you're down and, keep the education going as you start to become more and more challenged, So that way, I think it takes 6 weeks to create a new pattern or a new habit. but it takes 26 weeks to create a new lifestyle. So as we talked before on many talks about the health journey, your hero's journey. I mean, the whole goal of all this with our clinical kind of practice is you become a different person. You don't have to fight and struggle like you do in the beginning, but eventually you're just that person, right? And then you watch all your friends fall apart because the penance for being healthy in America is watching all your friends get sick and die before you. Just so you know. So make younger friends and all die together. Is that good? I don't know. That's how I am.
You always have good advice.
I'm always like, I gotta date someone that's 20 years younger than me, so we die at the same time. Because when you start looking at everybody's products, you're just like, this girl's gonna die. Like, so.
Yep.
All right. So with epigenetics, now epigenetics and genetics. So genetics is part of my degree set. I also do research at KU Medical School. We have an NIH granted research program that we're doing on kind of like I'm gonna call it psychogenetics. It's dang it, I have a really good name for it. I can't remember it, but
you have a good
basically
name for it.
it's for hard to treat patients from the psych aspect and proteogenomic psychiatry, proteogenomic psychiatry. That's what we're doing. And so with our research that we're doing, it's looking at very specific mutated genes, and in this case, some of you guys might know the gene I'm talking about. Super inappropriate, but it's MTHFR. So methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase mutations, and it looks really inappropriate. I think I went to a seminar once and they had it up on the screen. And I was just like, what? Like if you read it out, you're like,
with you.
This seems awfully inappropriate, or my kind of seminar. So it turns out that process is really significant for hard to treat patients. So we're having patients that are difficult to treat within psychiatry and psychology, and having them submit their DNA and then running it through an algorithm and finding out if it's statistically significant. And then the next research is, can we give them methylfolate and methyl B12 and see that they're not hard to treat anymore, right? So I love that research. We started that when COVID started, so like we just like kicking butt, and then there were like no biological testing anymore. So that slowed down our progress. So
I think they were just busy.
Yeah. So anyways, super nerd about that stuff for sure. And with like even that, because a lot of you guys probably have questions on that maybe, but that methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, that's a huge one within functional medicine, clinical nutrition now. And basically it's just you eat folate from food, so not folic acid, but folate. Folate from food goes through a process through methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase to create methyl tetrahydrofolate, right? So folate to methyl tetrahydrofolate, or methylene, or 5-methylene tetrahydrofolate, or any of those. But once you create that, then it goes to bioterapin, and then bioterapin is the precursor to BH4 and BH2 for things like octopamine, which regulates your mood and behavior. That's the one that we really see issues with, like autism, because the glyphosate interferes with the folate metabolism through that pathway, and then can affect how they behave. Also see that through melatonin, serotonin, tryptophan into and tyrosine into thyroid hormone, like glutathione through the B6 process of acetyl homocysteine, and like so the end product of like if you disrupt this one genetic pathway, you can affect brain, memory, mood, alertness, mood, sleep, mood, and detoxification. So it's a critical pathway for people to feel good, and that's why it's so a pinnacle within people who are hard to treat. Every supplement doesn't work, no medications will work, no therapy works. Like,
Right.
you know, we even have lots of referrals that we get from psychotherapists and social workers for their clients or their patients that just aren't responding, and so we look at those genetics. So that's one interesting aspect of it. But that's we have really great success with that. Half the country has that mutation. Half the white people in the country, Caucasians of like 48% have that mutation. I have that mutation. I got a shirt that says I'm a bad MTHFR. Has a little chromosome on there. And
That's awesome.
you know, just because you have the mutations doesn't mean you have the actual problem. Yeah. And that's the key. So when we look at stuff, so we a lot of times we'll have patients that come in with their 23andMe, and 23andMe and Ancestry, they'll give you like this snippet of your information. Because in the beginning they got in trouble with the FDA because they were like, you have a risk of all these cancers and heart disease, and people were just like, oh, might as well check out, and like just I'm gonna die, so why not just do it? So they got sued about releasing too much information. So out of the 20 to 25,000 genes, they might tell you about 10 genes, and then they start making you watch a video. So then it's just like, if you want to know about the BRCA gene, you have to watch this video so you don't kill yourself or go off the deep end.
Get crazed, yeah.
Yeah, and basically just knowing DNA is not your destiny. And so this became an interesting kind of discussion with our research program because, you do saliva DNA, or you can do bone marrow DNA, you can do blood DNA, but the DNA in one cell is not the same as any other cell. And so you have to have the right mutations in the right places expressed to actually have that problem. And so if you take saliva from the mouth, just because you have those mutations doesn't mean that is actually a problem. And that's where, when we look at the DNA, we want to look at the things that we can affect, the phenotyping, right? So your genotyping is the hard code stuff, how tall you are, your eye colors, things that aren't really going to change, and then the phenotyping is all the stuff that's affected by chemicals, food, hormones. I mean, even the fact that like you hug somebody literally changes your DNA. All the. I know you love this part, right?
Yeah.
So any part you want to chirp in, you just let me know because I know you excited about that.
Science, I know.
But literally, it's I know that's hard science stuff too. Of like, I mean, if you hold someone's hand, you fall in love, your genetics literally start changing, right?
Yep.
Your food changes your DNA.
Yep.
Like that's the most amazing concept to me. Which it makes the whole idea of looking at DNA so exciting. Yeah. But the bulk of what we look at with DNA is just kind of calming you down and saying, yeah, you have a whole bunch, like the average patient, like we said 23andMe only gives you a little snippet. Like we download the raw data. So we look at all 20 to 25,000 genes. That's about the average. I have 24,000, not bragging, but I have more than most people. I'm just saying, where's the gym at, right? So I have like a lot.
I don't know. I went to the gym today.
Yeah,
Did you go to the gym?
Yeah. No.
Come on, show us your muscles, everybody.
Yeah, show us your muscles there. Show us your, I like that. Where's the gym at?
The gym is over there.
So as long as it's the shots from up here, the gym looks good, but down here it's like dad bod situation. So we look at all 25,000. Now, interestingly enough, we have 2 patients that have had transplantations, and they have over 50,000 genes. Over 50.
How does that work?
That's a hell of a good question.
Transplantations of DNA?
Yeah, so you think, so again, as a guy, my genetics are pretty much me, but one of our patients, he has they scraped his marrow, and then they put in someone else's marrow. Well, now he's a mix of 2 different people. But it still shouldn't be 50,000 genes. It should be 25,000 and mixed between the 2. But so I don't know why. I mean, that's more genes than any human has, even if add two people together, it's still more genes than two people have.
Wow.
So I
That's a
haven't
lot.
found a good answer. If you guys know how someone can have over 50,000 genes in the body, let me know. They might have absorbed their twin too. You know?
That has happened.
Yeah, because if you
That's a
absorb like a
possibility.
lot of, I can't remember. It's a huge number
Hmm.
of twins actually like absorb the other one.
Hmm.
So then you have the strength of a grown man and a fetus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
I've heard of
that's
that.
chimorphic kind of stuff or chimera. But there was a woman years ago, I remember on Maury Povich or one of those shows, right? And she had three kids, and the husband or the ex-boyfriend or something like baby daddy, right? He was just like, those aren't my kids. I want them tested.
Tested. Yep.
And when she got tested, the kids weren't even hers. You remember this? Did you ever see this one? So
No.
genetically, these kids were not her kids. And she was just like, no, 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 no. I had babies. They all came out of me. They're a part of me. I don't know what the hell
Maybe
you
I
guys
do
are
remember
messing
that.
up, but these kids genetically are mine. And so they actually decided to test the uterus for the genetics. And it turns out she
Oh.
had this mosaic chimera where she was a mix, I think, of three different genetics. So that what the hell's going on
Wow.
there, right? So
That's
you
pretty
can
amazing.
you can you know
Did they ever find out how that happened? I mean, did she have like twins, or was there twins in her family, or
I don't think no
in
we
the
didn't know
genetics
genetics hardly at all back then.
back then?
Back then it was just like, are you the baby daddy or not kind of stuff.
And then that changed, and then they got started getting results
Yeah,
on those talk shows.
yeah, we were watching Cold Cases the other night, and turns out you just gotta wait 20 years and use DNA. Like everything was just like year after year, the cold case, it's a cold case, and then it's like 24 years later, yeah, we used the DNA and it was totally the dude we
Yep.
thought.
Yeah.
You know?
We figured it out.
Yeah. So then every dude's like sweating, like, shoot, do they have my DNA somewhere? Like what's the statute of limitation for
Uh,
crime? So
yeah, nobody can get away with anything anymore.
no,
Don't even try.
no. When I was in
Don't do
Thailand,
it.
they wanted my fingerprints, and I was
Yeah.
just like,
I was trying to remember the other day. Honestly, I couldn't remember. I was like, I've been fingerprinted somewhere, sometime, and I couldn't remember what it was. It was my trip to Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
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 So I'm like,
Stick it on your.
I grew up in a really bad neighborhood, and we did some sketchy stuff, and I'm like, do they have my fingerprints at some crime scene somewhere? No,
Yeah.
we don't know what we're talking about.
We.
That's a lifetime ago.
Nothing. Nothing. It was nothing.
I was just
No, don't worry about it.
observing.
You're fine.
Right.
Oh, hey, just to break this up, just one second.
Yeah.
Remember last week we asked for you to, in the comment feed here, if you were going to stop doing one thing that you knew you should stop,
Yeah.
what is it, and did you do it? So when you get a chance, put that in the chat here, so
can
we
you
can talk
type
about it
in,
later.
I gave up crack cocaine? So I've been meaning to get off the crack. Totally got off the crack
Hey,
last
we
week.
got all kinds of stuff for that.
Wait, do we have
You should
to?
have just went through us.
Do we have to get off the crack, or just know that you should get off the crack? I can't remember which one.
Yeah, you probably need to get off the crack.
So.
We got you. We got you covered.
All
We'll
right.
fix it all up for you. But
So
yeah.
So with patients, like I remember when we got our first genetic patient in, right? Mm-hmm. And this kid had MDS or pre-leukemia. The oncologist told them that, told the mom you got a 50-50 chance. And this kid just year after year had this just horrible mutation through a FISH test, which is a whole way that they find DNA mutations in your bone marrow and blood. Mm-hmm. And so, they were just like, he's got a 50-50 chance of surviving, and mom wasn't okay with that, so she asked me, and I was like, yeah, there's this thing called epigenetics, and like, you can reverse DNA mutations, right? And I was so excited, but nobody does it. Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. And so I bought a really expensive book that was actually a lot smaller than I thought, but it was just the biggest nerd book ever on genetics, and it talked about the nutrition of genetics. And 6 months later, we made all these changes and we looked at all the things that caused those DNA mutations, which you'll be very, very surprised of like how much of the stuff in your home is constantly mutating your DNA. So you get cancer in a country where the number one cause of preventable death is cancer, right? It's not why is everybody getting cancer. It is absolutely they should get cancer. We know this stuff.
Yeah.
But knowing that, then you can dramatically limit that list, and then you can eat to reverse DNA mutations. So most people don't even know very specific foods literally feed your bacteria to make something called fructooligosaccharides, that when your bacteria eats that, it makes butyrate, which is now an expensive chemotherapeutic that you can do, or you can just freaking make it for free by eating fruits and vegetables, right? That's why back when cancer first started becoming an epidemic in the 1970s, right, it just started exploding. By the 80s, everybody had cancer, and then the American Cancer Association was like, if you eat 5 handfuls of fruits and vegetables, you can reverse 85 to 100% of all cancers. But we wouldn't even do that.
That quickly went away.
Yeah.
And then we had this food pyramid that probably needs to be redone too.
Right.
But my theory is my theory is that this all started in the 40s, like after World War II, when they started choking it out. In the 40s, when they actually started processing things. We used all kinds of chemicals to start creating things because it was cheaper, but we didn't really start seeing those results until after in the 50s and 60s, when we started getting TV food and stuff that's in aluminum packages and things like that. Now it's not canning anymore. This food in a jar to preserve it naturally, but now we've got chemicals to do all that now. So now we're starting to see the intensity of the results of that.
Right. Intensity is a good word for that.
I mean, it's just blowing up.
Because before it was like, maybe it's genetic, maybe something like, that's not how sudden epidemics of cancer works.
No.
But, if you look at something simple as like babies, right? Gerber Organics is in plastic number 7, which disrupts the DNA, causing hormone problems and cancer for children. The formula has BPA that causes that. The bottles have that. The nipples have that.
Yep.
The chew toys have that. It's like literally, you start to think like, do Americans just hate kids? Do we hate being healthy? Like, if there was what could we do to harm everybody? And then America's like, I know, let's do this. And then we're like, well, that's crazy. Let's do a 5K run and do some research to figure out why everybody's getting leukemia and lymphoma, when we already know benzene causes leukemia and lymphoma, and that's your styrofoam and your plastics and your BPA and your nylon and your Under Armour gear and your Reebok and all the artificial stuff. Yeah. It becomes everything. Everything. So all cancer, when we look at genetics, all cancer is just a DNA mutation, right? That's all it is.
It's interesting because I've actually had testing done when I was pregnant with my son Alex. They were looking for a particular genetic mutation because there is something in his family, which I haven't had a talk with him yet, so I don't hope he's not on here. So really, I mean, it's whether or not he would want to have children to carry that genetic disposition or mutation. So luckily, it was like 2 combinations of genes. It's very rare, but it was supposed to be like 2 combination of genes that would, I guess
turn that on.
Yeah, it just like stimulates it. So luckily we didn't find it.
Nice.
But I could see the layout of how they did it, and they went through that fishing part, where you could see all the different kinds of levels of genetics and stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And thank God I didn't, have it. So.
Well, and that butyrate, like that, just from eating fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And that feeds your gut bacteria, right? So that reverses DNA, or that feeds DNA polymerase, which edits out mutations. Like literally, you have this dude that goes around to all your DNA and goes through and says, that's right, that's right, that's right. No, that's not right. Cut that out. Put the new one in, right? And so it repairs, by eating fruits and vegetables, it repairs your DNA at the rate of 10,000 repairs per cell per day. So 100 trillion
Amazing.
times 10,000 repairs a day is how you reverse DNA mutations all the time, right? So the goal is how much mutations are you curing from your lifestyle versus how much repair are you doing, right? So the average American eats one fruit or vegetable a day, so the repair is gone, and they eat and drink and breathe and rub on their skin all the things that cause cancer. And that's why the World Health Organization predicted that in 2010, every child born after that in the U.S. will have cancer. And then, of course, in 2019, it became the leading cause of preventable death over smoking. Like, that's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah. So when we look at things
especially when we actually have that information, like they're saying, hey, this is the prediction.
Yeah.
Of course, there's actual scientific proof, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they're just coming out with like this woo-woo prediction that something's going to happen in 2010.
Right.
Or wait, you said 2010.
Yeah. That was 13 years ago.
Wow.
Everybody 12 and under should get 100% cancer rates now. So what you feed your children
really
and what chemicals you expose them to and how much stress you expose them to suppress their immune system, those are all the three categories within functional lifestyle medicine that is going to determine whether you end up being a victim of that, of your lifestyle, of the American kind of lifestyle, or not.
Yeah.
So like that kid that we had that had the fatal mutation, 6 months later, after making all these changes, dramatically decreasing all the things that cause that specific mutation, eating all the things that reverse that mutation, 100% normal DNA. I mean, God, he had a long DNA mutation of all these different things, and then came back 6 months later, 100% normal XY karyotype. Okay. Like, that's amazing. And their oncologist was like, well, we've never seen that before. I wouldn't get too excited. And so then it was just like, the parents were like, is this good or bad? And then the next year, they wouldn't pay for the lab testing because he didn't have a mutation, And so they paid for it on their own, and actually it came back 100% normal.
Perfect.
And so then they were just like, okay, thank you. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Now we know the drill. I had another client in Australia that we got his new DNA in, and his is 50% improved. And so again, for every mom that's out there, like, you find out that your kid has these kind of fatal genetic disorders, and you're just like, what am I going to do? Well, like, that 50% improvement is a huge difference. And for him, that was a year. I think we had another one that was a year. It was 100% normal. And that one I love. If you're watching, kind of pipe up, but that one, the oncologist got his report, looked at it, and then took the file and threw it down the hall at her and said, get me his file. And she said, look at the name. It's his file. But he had never seen that that fish test go back to normal. So, it's just...
Why did he throw the file at her?
Oh, because, how some docs are, but ego-driven, like... Back when I did rounds at... I'm kind of old, but back when I did rounds at Halstead, before I got... maybe after I got bought by Columbia, they were telling me, when I was in telemetry, kind of watching our post-surgical patients, and they said that back in the old days, all the nurses would line up. They would all be just perfect. One would have the doctor's copy. The other one would have each file. They'd give their little reports, and they would take care of the doctor. But if anybody upset the doctor, like, he would, like, throw their files. He'd scream at them, like, all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell? So, I don't think that's a part of being a good doctor, like, trashing everybody. Which I did learn. You always take care of the nurses. They are the ones that have your back. So.
Hey, Christy, if you're still on here, how do you look ? A program ?
Look for what? DNA. So if that's what this is about.
Oh, okay.
So what we do is we pull the raw DNA. So you can whatever platform you use to get your DNA, you should be able to download the raw DNA. Well, and it's a huge file. So like, you have 25,000 genes. I think there's 325,000 bits of information that is pulled down from your genetics. So there's all these kind of like missing pieces and non-assigned DNA. And I mean, most of your DNA is to make horses and chickens and other stuff. So we don't even have human DNA. We just have DNA for most all species. And if they turn this on, that becomes a human. But if they turn on this, it's a chicken, which is why some humans have a horn growing out of their head or web fingers.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Tails. I wish I had a tail. That'd be awesome. So.
My friend Shelly the other day, she's like, when I tell my cat that she needs to get up or he needs to get up, he flicks his tail, slams it down on the couch, like, I'm not getting up.
Ugh.
So see, I could just see you doing that.
Could you imagine all your kids? Go do your homework. Like, whatever, Mom.
Flicking their tails.
Beat you. Right.
Maybe it'd be better to get them tails than to.
That's right. Well, when they're lying, they would just be like, "Oh, I didn't go to the party," and their tail is just like dead still. Maybe I don't know what happens. Cat's always lying.
That's funny.
So
cat
with phenotyping, that's all the stuff of the genes that you can affect for all your lifestyle and health stuff, right?
Yeah.
The majority of all your DNA that's important, the majority of all the 23andMe reports are things you can change. And that's the most important part. Is it's not your destiny. It's you work harder than someone else to reverse those DNA mutations, right? So if you have risks of cataracts, macular degeneration, you better be eating those bright fruits and vegetables with bright colors.
Colors, yeah.
Astaxanthin kind of supplements, or eat the tuna that eats the crawdads, or don't have crawdads in the ocean.
No.
Lobster, baby lobsters, shrimp.
Yeah,
krill.
Yeah, that's it.
They're full of the astaxanthin too. Or zeaxanthin.
I should know all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't.
So whatever that report comes back. So when we first did this, our first one, she interrupts. I don't know.
Did I interrupt?
I don't know.
I do that a lot, actually.
So when we download that raw data, so the average percent is 20 to 25,000 genes. We take that data and we put it through a software called Prometheus, which anybody can do, but knowing what the hell to do with that afterwards is sometimes challenging. They had a Stanford program for doctors where they teach how to do this, which was awesome. But once you put that in there, it'll show you how many bits of DNA you have and then how many mutations you have. And so the average adult that we've seen in the last 20 years of doing this research, or doing this process with patients, is about 200 to 300 mutations. Have not seen a 400 mutation person, have not seen less than 200 mutation person, but, about 10% of your cells, or 1% of your cells are mutated, right? And that doesn't mean they're going to cause problems. It just means within your DNA, there's a mutation. And so from those 200 to 300, I was like, how are we going to create a meaningful report from this? Nowadays, there's lots of ones, but they're very narrowed in what they do. So we can actually download this to a table, like an Excel table, and then we can kind of look through there and see for you what is actually significant, and then what do we not need to really worry about? Because again, when half the population has it, but only like the magnitudes or the magnitude's like a 1.5 or something, like, that's like weak stuff. That's just change the lifestyle. Now, we've had one patient where they had lots of, like, 10% of the population has it, and the magnitude's like 30% or something like that, and you're like, well, you're gonna die. Like, you better take care. You better make some radical changes here, But for most people that are upset or worry about genetics, only 1% of a disease is genetics. 1%. And of those 1%, you can still fix that 1% for some of those people. So 99% of all the genetics that we worry about are really epigenetics, phenotyping things, changes that are from your lifestyle and your diet that are amenable. So,
nice.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? You guys have questions on that? that a lot of information?
Well, so what is one of the number one things that you think that people are allergic to and should probably not eat?
Allergic to
Yeah, like
wheat and
what's it?
dairy.
Wheat and dairy, but
It's always wheat and dairy.
didn't I read something about spinach?
No,
No,
spinach is fine.
spinach is fine. So all those people that I said that to.
They're probably poisoning the spinach. I mean, if you go to like
Well,
what'sinmyfood.org,
yeah,
you can look at from the USDA's reporting program
I have
how
that.
many pesticides are in that food by the time it gets to the store. Spinach is a high one.
That's what I was thinking of.
Strawberry is a high one. Apples is a high one. But cilantro is 70. Cilantro, I think, is the biggest one. 70 pesticides by the time it gets to your home, and 30 of those are hormone disrupting ones. So those 30 pesticides disrupt that phenotyping production of your hormones that then determine the outcome from that.
So
So,
speaking of that, so there's an app that I
what is
always
that?
forget where the camera's at. It's called Yucca. Ooh, that's
Yeah, I
really
just heard
weird.
about that one.
Yeah, yeah, we were talking about it the other
Yeah.
day. It's called Yucca, and when you can actually scan um, a product code in the store, and it will tell you everything that is toxic or not
Nice.
in it. So,
Yeah.
which is helpful when you're following a particular diet that
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yucca,
yeah. What's the other one?
Think Dirty,
Mhm.
Healthy Living by EWG.org. Healthy Living, and is there another one? Oh, Ingrid.
What is it?
Ingrid, short for ingredients. Oh, yeah, ingredients. Um, but those are good.
Nice.
I
Nice.
use those a lot in the beginning. Like those are really helpful. Like all that stuff is mutating your
Mhm.
DNA,
Mhm.
causing hormonal disruptions. And
And I really love that these companies are actually coming up with these apps.
yeah,
And it is amazing to me like how long it would take them to get all of this information.
yeah,
Because I always used to think, we get some of our products from different countries,
yeah,
and then the process of them being in a box, in a truck, and then oftentimes things get in the boxes and things get in the, you know,
yeah.
so
So here's a quiz for you guys, or maybe.
yeah, you couldn't really see the thing on there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
How old is your average banana by the time it gets to your store? How old is your average melon by the time it gets to the store? How old is your average potato and your average apple? So it's funny because I heard these on different things, but one of them was like, how's it work? Or how's it made? That is a great show. How's it made? But like in there, they're like, oh, this is our long-term storage. They're talking about how they're using lasers to separate the apples because Americans have to have all the apples the same size in the same bin. So I think I posted that the other day. We waste like 40% of the food made in the world is wasted because it's not perfect, right? So they will plow in just massive amounts of bananas if they're not the right size so that all Americans have the same size, or most of the world has the same size. So in France, they made a law that you have to like sell ugly food, right? Um, Same thing with potatoes. South American, and they brought potatoes back from South America, and they wouldn't eat them because they were ugly. So then they found the pomme de terre, your typical potato, your russet, and then they were like, that looks pretty. And then everybody eats potatoes, but they only eat the other ones. Then now you find Peruvian purples and French fingerlings and all these other ones. They're crazy nutritious. Um, but even of the 40%, so we only use 60% of the actual food that we produce. And of that 60%, Americans waste 40%. So we just overeat and we just throw it away. And then we make laws where you can't feed homeless people and nobody can eat this excess wasted food. And then we have the highest child poverty rates and kids being hungry, like as a first world nation. But we literally make a law that you can't eat the food that we throw away. So you have just this overindulgence, which is a way sidetracked. How do we get in this? Not good.
Well, because we do.
Toxicity. All right. Don't even get me sidetracked on this stuff.
Don't get me started.
So yeah, so within functional medicine, right? You want to look at the functionality of DNA that you can affect by diet, by chemicals, by stress and hormones, and then stop doing those things or minimize those things, and then do the things that actually improve those. So even like brassicas are one of the most beneficial food categories for creating butyrate that reverses DNA mutations.
Can you tell me what that is?
So brassicas are cruciferous vegetables like kale, kohlrabi, um, broccoli, cauliflower, crunchy, dense foods. So there's all those crunchy, dense vegetables. Green tea is literally epigenetic too, right? So the healthiest, happiest countries tend to drink red wine or green tea or both. But green tea and red wine, when you consume those, they reverse DNA mutations. One of the chemicals that are treatments that I was looking at when it was very popular was ECGC, which is epigallate catalytic gallate or something like that. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. Look at all this research. It's like, this is awesome. And it's from green tea. It's just drink your damn green tea, right?
You know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to mix them.
Yeah? Mix what?
Mix green tea. Because what people are doing nowadays, they're mixing alcohol with caffeine.
Oh, like instead of a Red Bull, do a Vegas bomb with green tea or yerba mate.
Copyrighted right here. So
yeah,
if you want to team up with me and create a brand, to have a green tea wine mix.
Why don't they have a yerba mate bomb with alcohol? Organic.
Exactly.
Organic potato vodka or Ciroc, which is grapes, with yerba mate tea, which has the same amount as Red Bull, but it won't put you in the hospital because it's a long, complex molecule of caffeine, not the instant one from Red Bull. But it has the same amount of caffeine as Red Bull, and then no toxicity, all benefit.
What?
Right? Yeah, I'll be like West Side. Right?
Okay, well, we're going to get out of here and start working on that little side job, side business.
Being in the club, getting healthy.
And having a good time doing it.
Yeah. So I don't know. That would be funny.
I still don't see any comments about anybody giving up something from last week.
Nobody's giving up
Nobody
anything.
gave up anything?
I gave up crack. Well, no, I thought about giving up crack. I put it on a list. Right? You know how much work I could get done? I already work I'm over, like my girlfriend is like, you have so much energy. And I'm
oh my
like,
gosh, I don't even know
tired.
where you, you're crazy.
So if I was on crack,
crazy energy.
I get so much stuff done.
No, because then that eventually it just.
What if I mix the crack with the yerba mate tea and a Red Bull?
Yeah, he's really not being serious.
No.
Just FYI, he's just not being serious. He's a jokester.
Yes.
So
but
it is funny.
If you have DNA that you want to figure out, let us know, and we could actually look at the back end of this and kind of figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. We should have like a little class, like a little program or something where people can bring in their Prometheus and we all go through it. We should do that. That would be a good thing.
You want to?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
And then with our coaching, so we go through food as medicine with people. We talk about all these bullcrap food rules that we come up with in the United States that aren't real, and people just do gimmicks and nonsense. And so having someone hold your hand through the process is this transformational change that you're going to make. And otherwise, 98, do you know the number? I don't know, 98% of all New Year's resolutions, fail within the first 6 months. Mm-hmm. Because we have all these great intentions, but we never changed as a person. So the minute conflict comes, we just revert back to the old us, right? So that's why that 26 weeks of hand-holding is so critical. And that's why, we get a 95 to 100% success rate for pretty much any condition across the board, because as you slip and fall and stumble, we're right there holding your hand, which isn't always a functional medicine process, but that is one of the better parts of functional medicine practitioners. They tend to be more hand-holding, more process-oriented, more, let's like, sustainable change here. Um, so, when we reverse Crohn's, eczema, anxiety, depression, like, that coaching part or the mentorship has to be there. I don't know how people do it without it. And like, if people aren't interested and they're just like, well, just tell me a few things to change, like, it ain't gonna work and you're gonna mess up our stats. Like, if you could do it on your own or do a couple quick fixes and make it all better, you would have, right? But people come in and they're just like, well, I think it's saponins, I think it's lectins, well, did any of that help you? No, it's not that. The world's healthiest people eat those things.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's what is the most likely thing that's causing it, and let's help you stop causing it. So
I know.
that transformational coaching I love because I even had to go through it myself.
Me too.
And having someone that you can go on that journey with, and you can be like, look, I totally disagree with everything you're saying, but I trust you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just okay. And like, we have all these patients that have made such a world of difference, and like, I just love when they have the hope. I love in the beginning they're arguing with you a lot, and they're just like, well, I read this book, and I went to this seminar, and I did this, and it's you. I'm not making fun of you because it's everybody, right?
Well, we all do that because we wanna stay in the old self.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't want to make
yeah. Yeah, we don't want to go into the neural pathways, but that's typically, I would say that's typically what an average response should be.
Yeah.
Because to change is a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of other things, processing to do. We have to be having some hand holding and
Yeah.
mentoring. Sometimes not. Sometimes people just make that decision, boop, just like that.
And we went through, because she and I went through meditation and mindfulness practices,
Yeah.
like with our mentor, and kind of brought in our stuff into it. But like, I like that process because I had to just submit and be like, I don't know what the hell you talk about. I haven't been given any of these tools. If I look at my toolbox, they do not exist. I don't know what the hell a plier wrench is. It's not a made up thing, but you just believe that there's a plier wrench, and then you keep using it, and then you're like, okay, I guess that exists.
Hey, all of a sudden it seems to work.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that coaching part. That's why we meet week to week with patients. Is like, I'm telling you, we're going to overwhelm you with information, and then you're going to feel like there's no way to survive it, and then you'll get through it. And then another overwhelming. And then by like usually week to 6, people are dramatically better, and then you just want to make sure they stay on track. But that transformational coaching, it's I think one of the most meaningful parts because it'd be so easy to do there's 2 types of functional medicine. Functional medicine that's lifestyle is like, look, man, we're going to hold your hand through this whole process. We're going to get you better to where you're a different person. The other functional medicine is, let's just do a bunch of labs, and instead of doing your regular labs, we're going to do functional labs. Instead of doing medications, we're going to do a bunch of supplements. And then we just kind of manage you, and we keep seeing you, and you still have diabetes, but your numbers look really good, and you still have hypertension, but it's managed really well. And like, I don't want any of that bullshit. Like, I don't want to manage anybody.
Can we talk about the Beverly a little bit? Or are you not ready for that?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. That's a later thing.
Okay. Well, just the concept of having support in lots of different areas.
Mm-hmm.
But so, I mean, it's a process for anybody to make a change, and you can.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Just make that decision to start making the change.
Make that decision to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people end up in, was it pre-contemplation or contemplation, where it's just like, ooh, I need to make a change, and I'm going to make an Excel sheet of all the changes I should make, and then I will never, ever make those changes.
Or do 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's it, yeah.
And then be like, this just isn't for me,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that status quo, that comfort that we talk about all the time with the hero's journey. It's you gotta get the hell out of that phase.
Yeah. So Stephanie, she stopped drinking coffee. Everybody give her a hand.
Nice.
Wow. And then she replaced it with green tea and cucumber water.
Nice. That's all
Nice.
medicine.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I drink a lot of cucumber water too. Like
Yeah.
I fill up a whole jug in my refrigerator in a glass jar, and I put a bunch of cucumbers in there and I drink on that.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really
this
good stuff.
summer, one of the things I love is just get one of those big glass giant containers,
Mhm.
the little spigot
Stick
on
it
it.
on it. Yep.
Constantly put ice and water in there, and then dice up fruits and vegetables,
Yep.
and put them in there,
Yep.
and then your kid and put a saucer at the bottom with a little paper towel because they're gonna drip, drip, drip. But then my kids would keep getting their little water,
Yeah.
and it always tastes wonderful. But then at the end, you have all those
Oh yeah.
diced up fruits and vegetables. Then put those in the freezer, and use those for smoothies. And then you don't waste any,
There
but you
you
just
go.
keep putting those berries, and then your kids are more apt to drink that water.
Mhm.
Spouses are more likely to drink that water if it looks nice and cool.
Mhm.
I know any place I go and they have cucumber water, I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
your body starts responding to
Yeah.
it, right?
It
Yeah.
has those good electrolytes in there. Like it's so nice. Yeah.
What's your favorite combination of fruit and water flavors?
I like lemon, lime, and orange
Mhm.
slices, real thin
Real
slices.
thin,
I love
like
those.
on the
Things.
whole slice or
Yeah, yeah,
quartered?
yeah, the
The
whole
whole
slice.
slice.
Yeah, those are my favorite. And then I grind those up, or I just eat them at the end. Like, I don't care.
so put in the comments what your favorite flavor of water is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear what you have to say.
be vodka flavored water.
Yeah, just be careful the kids don't accidentally drink it.
Then they go to
Oh.
sleep, and you do yoga, and you get live their life. And if they get to take it away, then you get to go on a vacation cheaper. No. Kind of thing.
Is there a sort of a edit button here anywhere? I don't think there's an edit button. But anyway.
As soon as those fingerprints come back, they will no longer be a Dr. G show. No.
Well, so are you good? Are you good? Did you feel like you completed everything?
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask
Yeah.
everybody to just ask your questions now. We got about 5 minutes or so. So if you have some questions, maybe a Q&A here at
Yeah.
the end.
Oh, did you ask about the shirt? Yeah, I got this in Thailand. You can't get it.
What? Did I ask about the shirt?
No, I'm teasing.
Oh.
Just listening for bragging.
All right. All right. We have a question.
All right.
Oh wait, Barbara.
Redmond
Hi,
salt
Barbara.
in the water.
Redmond salt. Can you
It's
tell us
Barbara
what that is?
Clark.
Tell us what a Redmond salt is.
Yeah, what is that?
Where is your practice? Oh, okay.
So.
Let's see. Your practice is at 801 East Douglas, second floor, Regis Building, Wichita, Kansas 67202. And let me put that in the comments for you.
Yeah, so we have a couple different practices. So we have a um, Becky Wharton. She's a functional medicine nurse. She does the same kind of practice within functional medicine for the Genomic Wellness of Beverly Hills. So that one is genomicwellness.com. And then I personally practice at Family Health and Wellness, which is also called Wellsprings, but it's downtown Wichita, 801 East Douglas. And
do you want to put that number in there?
No, that's one to the. So yeah, if you want to call and make an appointment or whatever, like if you go to nourishpurifyhealth.com, or sorry, nourishpurifyheal.com, you can make an appointment with me locally, and then nationally we have Genomic Wellness, and then soon, you were talking about, we're going to have the Beverly, and so I know a lot of people have been asking me when it's going to open. Turns out we didn't get our contracts the way that we wanted them, and so we had to turn down that building that we were working on, and so we're looking at another one, and maybe by June 1st we'll be in that, and that's a Beverly, a wellness boutique, and so that's the one where we'll have like med spa and medical weight loss and functional medicine, integrated or primary care. So we'll have a whole bunch of other stuff there, which will be great.
Whole host of stuff.
And nice little bougie place, but I'll be practicing out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe June.
Maybe June.
Yeah. So I got in trouble before because the other one's like, oh, we're definitely opening in December, and then it was like, oh, February, then March, and it was like, oh, okay, just keep coming here, and then we'll figure out when we go to the new place. So.
But
Yeah.
rest assured, I'll be making sure that everyone has all of that information forthcoming, and probably another 3 or so weeks.
Yeah.
So we're very excited. We hope you join us in a lot of different areas of that process too.
Yeah, because there
it's gonna be awesome.
We'll have like food demonstrations and cooking after dark with Dr. G, and then we'll have
local vendors. Where you can come and hang out at the bar and get some kombucha tea.
Yeah. Get some Songbird juice.
What is it, Songbird Juice Company?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to have outdoor events too in the summer or fall, probably.
So all that's soon to come, but don't expect anything until it's done.
Right.
So
we'll let you know.
That's the rule. All right. Well, thank you guys. Now next week, what we're going to talk about is functional medicine laboratory interpretation, some molecular mimicry approaches, and then neuroplasticity. So we have episode part 3 and part 4 coming up. So that'll be really exciting. I can't wait to hear you guys' feedback too. Yeah. And otherwise, love you guys. Thank you guys for being a part of this, and thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. You do a lot for a lot of people. Oh. So I'm sure.
That's why I love my job.
You have a great job. What do you think about mushrooms? Stephanie wants to know.
So there are tons of crazy medicinal mushrooms.
I drink coffee that has mushrooms in it. And then I have like some, I guess, coconut and chocolate and mushrooms, and then I'll put that in my coffee too in the morning. Yeah, because mushrooms, I mean, they can be crazy expensive, but and I eat them like you know what the hell you're doing. They're free out in nature. Too late. But only eat what you really know. But yeah, like mushroom coffee is really good. Adding mushrooms to everything's really good. Putting that in your puree is really good. So there's lots of fantastic mushrooms, from just your typical culinary portobellos all the way to like therapeutic lion's mane. And I have such an affection for mushrooms, and so they help with your immune system. Yeah. You know, and there's so many different. I'm sure we can have a whole conversation, a whole hour worth of conversation. So one of my very most favorite things. I had a property in Missouri that was about 70 acres, and there was a lake on it, a private lake, and so all around that the dam part, morel mushrooms would grow in the spring, and I should have made it a farm. Yeah. Because I loved hunting them. I was always happy to see one coming up, and so they're a little bit magical too, because of the way they grow. Yeah. It's all spores and morels. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are the only ones that I would eat out in nature, because that's the one I absolutely know. See. Yeah. You can know. They're very, very, very easy. They look like Christmas trees and veins and stuff. Yeah. They're a freak show of nutrition. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And they have these new things where I saw that you can buy and grow your own. And that wasn't a possibility for the longest time, because they couldn't figure out all the soil content, and they couldn't reproduce the spores, but now they do. And I have some freeze-dried ones in my pantry. And the best mushrooms are the ones that grow. Thank you, Gina. I think they grow as parasites in ants, and they make zombie ants and zombie beetles. Have you seen those? No. Like it grows into their brain and nervous system, and it makes them like move and do stuff. But they're like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It would be a fantastic movie when it flips from ants into humans, right? Hey, there's already movies where ants became big giant ant things. Yeah. People. Anyway. All right. Thanks, luckily, everyone. We never get off track. There's Gina. Well, that's because it makes it more fun. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gina says use more hashtags. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Hashtag off crack.
We are on it. We
Yeah.
are switching everything over as we speak. This next 3 weeks, everything's going to be like straight A.
All right, you guys.
Okay.
Love you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Keep posting questions and stuff.
Yeah, we'll answer later.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Have a good night.